projects out of it. So the 3 billion we're going for, government decided that it was no more pursuing the landing beach project. Our people call it WAF, you know, bridge, water, etc. They call it by all manner of names. I want to know from you, how you intend to continue the construction of those 14 or so landing beach projects that the new government that inherited the NDC government, I mean the Akufo-Addo government, 2017 to 2025, saw to the construction of 14 landing beach projects. Some have been commissioned, some have not been commissioned. What plans have you, as a sector minister, in ensuring that all these uncompleted landing beach projects are completed?
Thank you very much. We will review the projects as you have mentioned. We will review the sources of funding. Where we need to attract more funding, look for more funding, we will find the funding either from GOG or from our development partners. Thank you.
Well, just for the avoidance of doubt, so that we don't appear hypothetical, Government of Ghana procured full funding for all these projects. In fact, government came to Parliament and Parliament actually approved everything, the commercial agreement, all the loans, all that, you know, government needed to do this project, you know, was approved. I'm just giving you the information so you can pursue it. By the way, were you part of the policy on fisheries?
Honorable Leader, is the money still there? The money, is it still there?
Honorable Chair, respectfully, my question was very clear. We must not have give and take at the head of the table. Government approved a loan. This was a structured facility. The contractor will have to access the fund upon submission of certificate. We all know in this country how construction payment is structured. You do get your certificate and you submit whichever stage you are paid. So it's not a matter of the money is there or not. There's a loan that we procured and same has been disbursed. So let's not go in there. If she says that she would pursue it, that's fine. But I want to know from the honorable nominee on these landing beach projects. It was originally under Transport Ministry. It was originally under the Transport Ministry. There is a new government with its own policy initiatives. Would you be happy to pursue getting the facility and the supervision of these landing beach projects under your ministry?
I think this would be a matter for cabinet discussion.
Now, the NDC manifesto, the policy on fisheries, were you part of the enactment?
No, I wasn't. I was a member of many other committees except that one. Thank you.
So, by the way, do you have the manifesto with you?
I do not have a copy, but I have what we said in the manifesto under fisheries here.
Share with us
Okay.
the specifics.
Okay. So we said that we will collaborate with landing beach committees and leverage technologies to combat corruption in the distribution of the premixed fuel. We will establish a Blue Economy Commission to sustainably harness and regulate our marine and freshwater resources.
The first point. The first point.
Collaborate with landing beach committees, 350 of them, and leverage technologies to combat corruption in the distribution of the premixed fuel.
That is a policy.
Yes.
I
And
see.
that relates to the automation and other things that we will come out with.
What I want to know is that what you've just read to the committee, is that the policy?
It is what we said we would do, out of which, yes, policy statements can clearly emanate from that. Yes. I'm telling you, reading verbatim to you, what, Mr. Chairman, what the NDC manifesto said we would do under fisheries and aquaculture. So that is one. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
My question is that what you just read out to us, is that a policy? That was my question, respectfully.
Yes.
Please proceed. If that is your policy, proceed.
The next one is establish a Blue Economy Commission to sustainably harness and regulate our marine and freshwater resources. The next one is to enhance aquaculture through improved fish genetics, commercial fingerling production, strengthened quality assurance, and disease control.
Stay there. Let's stay there. So on this third one, how
Akola Reswa
do you
from the
hope
legend, the great man, Abrantia
implement
Machi
this?
Dede, Akola Reswa
As we
from the
know,
legend.
years. So one of the things that we intend to do is to support, attract, direct, facilitate funding for operators of aquaculture farms. Also, one of the very expensive things that affects aquaculture is the feed, because the inputs into feed are imported, and it makes the feed very, very expensive. So linked to and in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, we will look at how to produce, especially maize and soya bean in Ghana, just for the aquaculture subsector of fisheries. We also want to invest into research, especially around disease control, to support the growth of aquaculture for jobs and for prosperity, especially for our young people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable nominee, to the Ghanaian youth listening to you now, this is very assuring. What timelines would you want to provide?
Mr. Chairman, if it pleases the House and I'm approved, and it pleases the President to keep me for 4 years, I have 4 years under the President's instruction and direction to implement this. But when I get to the office, then I'll work out the timelines, because I cannot be saying things that I do not have the concrete facts for. Thank you.
Will 3 months be enough for you to work out the timelines?
3 months to work out timeline. Yes, please.
That's fair. Now, you know the poverty levels along our coast. How do you look forward to creating opportunities for women in the area of fishery?
Thank you very much. As we all know, women really dominate the fisheries sector. Men own canoes. Some women own canoes as well, but men go fishing, and when they bring the produce, it's the women who take over. They process the fish into the different smoked fish, fried fish, what have you. And sometimes they are faced with the problem of capital funding. And so linked with the establishment of the Women's Development Bank, we are hoping that small loans will be given to the women, the fishmongers, so they improve their work. We are also looking at processing centers. Even in the area of aquaculture, we are looking at perhaps and they support socially as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, I shall bring my questions to an end at this point and wish the nominee very well. Thank you very much indeed.
I will now give the floor to Honorable Patrick Boma.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member and a veteran politician. Congratulations. I want us to go to the European Union's ban on Ghana. I'm sure you know about it. The yellow card, you're aware. Fact is that this ban came about as a result of the illegal, unreported, and unregulated, that's IEU, that's using vessels on the high seas to do some transportation, which is $1 billion business. How strong are you going to be to get us out of this ban in the face of fact that you have strong fisher communities who are involved in some of these activities? Can we hear from you on this and the steps you're going to take? Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you rightfully said, IUU, standing for illegal, unreported, and unregulated activities in fisheries, have earned Ghana a yellow card. Now, EU outlined a number of things that need to be sorted out so that the yellow card will be lifted. It is my understanding that those activities have begun, one of which is to review the law on fisheries, Act 625.
Have been used to the extent that fish from those rivers that we revere so much cannot be eaten. We cannot get the number of fish stock that we used to. What are some of the strategies your ministry is going to put in place for your control? Obviously, as fisheries and aquaculture, you are not going to focus so much on the sea, but also on our rivers, Tano, Pra, and Cobra, Densu, Brim, and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This is one of the issues that would be that will require an intersectoral approach. It would have to be with the Ministry of Fisheries, Environment and Science and Technology. Even maritime comes under which ministry? Transport, with Ministry of Transport. It has to be an intersectoral approach. And blue economy refers to or has many components, and one component is fisheries, the other component is bioprospecting, the other component is mining under the sea and all of those things. Now, what we want to do with fisheries is to set up a Blue Economic Commission that will be working to look at how we situate fishing beyond the narrow sense that we see it now. So we will be establishing the Blue Economic Commission.
Different from the Fisheries Commission, that is a regulator?
Yes, yes. So now the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture has only two agencies, Fisheries Commission, and the Premix Secretariat. If this comes on board, then we are going to have a third one called the Blue Economic Commission. And who knows, maybe when it's set up and we begin to go into it, we'll realize that maybe we have to merge or something. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Don't worry, we'll go to the regulation aspect. Let's look at your regulations. Fisheries Commission.
Mr. Chairman, I think the four gentlemen to my left have answered the question for me. Thank you very much.
Chairman, I asked a very important question, and I need an answer from the nominee, not from the
Mr. Chairman,
praise singers on your left.
Mr. Chairman, we will be fair. We will be equitable. Whoever is deserving of a license, following the due process, will get a license. But also, we will have to see the traffic. If it's too choked, then people will have to wait for later. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Arthur, let's do two more, and I'm sure you'll be the fish landing sites, river bodies, not going to school. Come on. We've come a long way as a country. We need to get all our kids in school. I'm sure if you go to Abuesi or Abuadze in your area, I know that. Because I did my national service around you, Dabuasi, in 1993, many years ago. So I know your area very, very well. So, yeah. So, Honorable Arthur, I know Biposo, you stand on River Pra, you look and the color has changed. The children at fish landing sites, not going to school, putting their lives at risk. Please, tell the country something about what you intend doing to assist.
Thank you very much. Yes, it is true that children who should be in school sometimes are not in school. But it is also a fact relating to education that as a nation we have to look at. When the classroom blocks are not enough, when a classroom that should take 25 takes 100, when one teacher is teaching 5 subjects, then it is difficult to have control over the kids, and the kids run away. When our education curriculum is not structured around what the kids know and do, then they lose interest. So this requires a comprehensive, holistic approach to getting our children who should be in school to be in school. The kid watches his mother who has never been to school smoke fish. The woman who has never been to school knows that if she puts a certain quantity of firewood under a tall stack of fish, they all cook at the same time, not one is burnt. The physicists tell me that is thermodynamics. Why is it that the kid is learning about in school, in physics, and not learning what he or she sees his or her mother do every day and every time? So there are things that we must do to make education interesting for those kids to go to school and stay in school. Also, we have to do scholarship schemes to get them to stay in school and be interested in school. And therefore, I am saying to the whole of Ghana that we will be extremely creative. We will work with different models in different parts of the communities in the coastal districts to get our children interested in school, go to school, and stay in school. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. A very good answer. Honorable Arthur, my last question. Very last question. I promise you. I know you to be a firebrand politician. I saw you during the launch of the Reform Party in Legon, a very long time ago. Yes. Then you reformed, and you've reformed, and you are here. Today you are very sober, and we like your composure. What do you want the fisheries sector or subsector and Ghanaians to remember you for? Not forgetting the fact that President Akufo-Addo appointed to that ministry. Mrs. Asma, may her soul rest in peace, was there. Gladys Asma, under President Kufuor. Then came the almighty Howard Kumsin, the late Shariaite. Then Howard Kumsin, former MP, Kaswa, Ewutu Senya East. You are taking the seat, God willing. What do you want the country to remember you for? The next year, 2 years, you never know what President Mahama will do, whether to reshuffle you. But between now and when the next reshuffle is done, what do you want us to remember you for, Honorable Atta? Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you very much. That's by the grace of God and the support of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama that I, Emilia Atta, was the fisheries minister, under whose regime fisheries production went up, and that indigenous knowledge was respected and integrated with scientific knowledge in improving fisheries in this country. And also that it was under me that the long-awaited Fisheries College that we started in 2013 became operational. But you see, the indigenous knowledge part is very important to me because, you see, our fishers have knowledge. Some of them have been fishing 12 years, 15 years, 30 years. In fact, when they go to sea, for example, they can see that, in the Nsuiwa Kwefutu. Nsuiwa Kwefutu, chede on chi, wunyanam. Anande Nsuiwa Kwado, Okwado no chede, what to fawa, wubenyanam. Why are we not paying attention to that? They were also like stargazers. Our fishermen could follow a star and use a star to navigate like a compass. Of course, today, because of technology, different things are going up there, so you might see something you might think is a star, but it's a capsule hanging in there. But I think that importantly, we have to marry indigenous knowledge and scientific knowledge in coming to whatever policies that we bring in the fisheries sector with the sole aim of improving fisheries in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the close and open season.
Thank you very much. May I proceed to recognize the presence of Nana Afokweku II, Chief of Ohiamadwi. Okay. Of Mori, Madam Faustina Nelson, Mrs. Sati Okran, Mr. Samuel Kwame Bolu, Miss Daniela Mavis Matthias, Mrs. Beatrice Achampong, then our own Honorable Kofi Totobi Kwachi, Isaac Patterson Eshen, John Manoma.
Yeah, Nana Sambu Butler. Yes, Nana Sambu Butler. Yes. The great
Nominee, congratulations on your nominations. We thank you so much for attending upon the committee and providing answers to questions. For now, you are discharged, but you will surely hear from the committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Our next and the last nominee for today should get ready to take his seat. Honourable members, let's have some order.
empowerment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So the National Youth Authority was passed by this House. And then you clearly remember, Honorable, is a follow-up.
Are you referring to the National Youth Authority
Act? Percent which is being given for youth development is null and void. How are you going to raise funds to support?
Hold on. I believe that is not what the Supreme Court judgment said. The Supreme Court judgment interpreted a constitutional provision in relation to what constitutes total revenue. And this has nothing to do with. I will now proceed to give the floor to Nana Osei Adjei. While Mumuni Mohammed Nuruddin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nominee, congratulations. And I want to find out from you, a lot of your party youth went on rampage after the 2024 elections. What do you have to tell them? An example.
Please, hold it. Order.
I will give you the evidence. I will give you the
Order. Honorable members, let's have some order.
And you watch national television.
Honorable Nuruddin.
Mr. Chairman.
If you have the evidence that something happened,
Mr. Chairman,
and such a thing is coming from the people identified to be NDC youth, please table it for consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I will forward to the committee after this. In North-East region.
Ask another question.
Mr. Nominee, some youths, an example, in the North-East region. Allegedly. In the North-East region, right after the election, the regional coordinating council was locked by some youth of the NDC. I want to find out from you.
Can you proceed to ask another question? Okay. Honorable Nuruddin, ask another question.
Mr. Chairman.
Order. Please, order.
I will not be
Please,
scared.
order.
I will not be scared.
Honorable member, let there be some order. I don't want to be mentioning names. Please ask another question.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nominee.
Let me help you.
Another question. Please ask another. Ask another question.
Mr. Nominee, I want to find out what plans do you have for the youth who are into agriculture in this country? I will not be scared.
Please proceed to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Agriculture is the backbone of every economy. And as such, His Excellency President Mahama has a vision for young people who want to venture into agriculture. I started by saying that it is because we have not made agriculture very attractive. It doesn't entice young people to get into it. And young people don't even appreciate the need why they have to get into agriculture. So we need to sensitize young people on why we need to get into agriculture and also make agriculture very formal. They are passionate into purpose and develop agriculture in such a way that young people will enjoy themselves doing it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Any further question?
Mr. Chairman, my second question has to do with
third one.
The first question wasn't answered. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Nominee, we all know in this country, illegal mining has caused our water bodies a lot of havoc. I want to find out from you what plans that your ministry has about the youth in illegal mining.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Before you answer, with all due respect, let's observe some decorum. let there be order, so that we can have the opportunity to listen to the question and the answer from the nominee. With all due respect.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, there is a Ghana we all want. And one of the things we want in the Ghana I want, illegal mining is not part of it. I want to see a Ghana where we do mining in a manner which is sustainable and doesn't degrade the environment in any ways. And I believe that is also the vision of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. And so young people who want to get into mining, first we need a reset of the mind. Until we reset the mind and re-engage.
So much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, first of all, I want to congratulate the nominee for his appointment, especially being the first minister for youth development, standing alone, because previously we have minister for youth and sports in the various regimes. So I want to congratulate you. Mr. Nominee, my question to you is that His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration launched a 10-year youth policy and also its implementation plan. Given that this policy is at the early stage and you are taking over, what do you have to make sure that you implement this youth policy, and how do you intend to address the challenges that may come during the rollout of its implementation? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have met the authorities at the NYA and I've taken a brief from them. I intend to work with them on what they have started. I've looked at the policy and I think it's laudable. You don't need to reinvent the wheel when there is something already in motion. And so we'll work with them. The good news is that President Mahama has put issues of youth at the center of his government. And so whatever the challenges are, I'm very rest assured I'll get the needed support from Cabinet to make sure we pursue it and make sure the action plan and the policy framework works effectively. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo roll out a lot of youth initiatives. And these initiatives, like the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan, you have the Youth Start program, you have the YEA, you have National Service, you have National Youth Authority, we have various youth initiatives in most of the ministries, like youth in agriculture. How do you intend to coordinate all these things to avoid duplication? Because every year during budget, most of these ministries will come with budgets for youth programs. If you even take the Ministry of Lands, for example, Lands and Natural Resources, the Alternative Livelihood Program was also a budget separate. How do you intend to coordinate all these things to ensure that the youth of this country get the benefit of the various youth initiatives that we roll out during our time, and making sure that you maintain them and possibly bring in more initiatives? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The good news is that today there is a Ministry for Youth Development. Previously, it was not like that. It was the Ministry for Youth and Sports. And we all know that issues of youth, because they are scattered, forgive me, Honorable, but once you get into the ministry, the issues become too cumbersome. Your focus just goes on to sports. And sports is easy. When I say it's easy, not easy in the sense that there are no challenges, but it's a one-stop shop. And so you're able to deal with it. Large activities. And so we will not have the duplication, because now information will be shared. And we're going to set up teams that is going to manage. And then there's going to be interagency committee that will look at programs that this agency is doing, and then we'll be able to sync them together so that we don't end up wasting the little scarce resources we have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are you done?
Mr. Chairman,
thank you very much.
On this note, I want to wish him well. It is a laudable initiative, especially making sure that we are able to judiciously use the taxpayers' money, and no different agencies doing different things, the same thing in different agencies. So I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm still on my left. I'll give the opportunity to Fred Che, Dr. Fred Che Asamoah. Honorable. Doc, you have the floor.
Honorable Chair, thank you for the opportunity. But first, let me congratulate my junior brother for his nomination. Honorable Honorable Chair, first, can the nominee tell us the agencies that are going to be, I know it's been repeated, but I want to ask him to tell us the agencies that are going to be under his ministry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Youth Employment Agency, the National Youth Authority, the National Service Secretariat, the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, which is not an agency yet, but then before you left, there was an act that was being worked on, and so I hope the act will get passed when we take charge. MASLOC, and then the Scholarship Secretariat. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, my next question will be, which of these agencies will you recommend to His Excellency the President to merge due to the duplication that is seemingly existing in terms of the functions? As a Minister for the Youth Ministry, which of these agencies will you recommend that we merge?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's early days yet. I believe when I take over as Minister, I'll have a proper brief from the various agencies, and then we'll be able to look at it and decide which ones we need to merge and which ones we need to keep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Please, order. Please, order.
Honorable Chair, the OECD projects that in 26 years, the working population is likely to double in Africa. That means that 1 out of each working population will be found in Africa. Then also we know we have what we call not in education, not in employment, or not in training. With you at the Youth Ministry, how are you going to ensure that you can work with the Ministry of Education to make sure that we prepare our youth to meet this challenge, taking into consideration what we call needs, and also looking at the fact that the working population in Africa is going to double, and also considering the unemployment rate of our current youth in Ghana?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I believe that's the last question. That's why it's convoluted. Listen to the answer first before you decide whether you have a follow-up or not. Because the follow-up must strictly flow from the answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our challenge is not just the working class increasing. Our challenge is that there will be no jobs for us or for our population because of the issues of IT and machine learning. And so we need to prepare our youth towards that. By 2030, there will be 230 million jobs that will be needed in the IT space. And that is why His Excellency President Mahama is talking about training 1 million coders. It may sound audacious, but even 1 million coders for the 4 years will not be enough for us to meet the challenges that lies ahead of us. We need to build capacities of our young people. Currently, about, if I'm not mistaken, the net population, not in employment, not in training, and not in education, stands at about 12-point-something% of the working, the non-working.
It's a conflict because we have Ministry of Education that is supposed to be in charge of skilling, and we also have other agencies that are supposed to be in charge of funds. So if you say training, how are you going to ensure that you don't duplicate what is happening at the Ministry of Education? And you also talked about agencies that you want to collaborate. Definitely you need to collaborate with agencies to professionalize your youth so that they can have some job. And also you will need some increased investment to be channeled to this upscaling and professionalization. So how will you ensure that we cannot have this duplication that has bedeviled this country? And how will you also ensure that you can have enough investment channeled towards your ministry so that we can have the teeming youth well prepared for this new job? Because definitely there's going to be a lot of jobs that will be lost, but the amount of jobs that are going to come in will double. So how do you intend to make sure that you don't duplicate what is happening in other ministries? And how will you also ensure that you can get that enough funds or investment to support this professionalization and upscaling?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To find funding, you must go look for it. And that is exactly what I will do when I am approved as minister. I will go look for funding wherever there is funding. We will have to knock on every door. We'll also appeal to traditional authorities, local individuals, organizations, wherever we can find resources. In other jurisdictions, individuals contribute significantly. People make money and then give them out. We've seen a lot from the Jeff Bezos, the Donald, what's he called? Bill Gates and co. A lot of them. And so we'll reach out to, and in Ghana, there are so many individuals who are capable of doing that. And then we'll write their names.
Oh, okay, yes.
Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations, nominee. Chairman, I want to find out from the nominee. Your ministry is Ministry for Youth Development. Many a time, majority of violence and other things that happen in the country, youth are involved. Post-election violence. I want to get your view on post-election violence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My ministry is Ministry for Youth Development and Empowerment. The Ghana we want requires the active participation of the youth who constitute the majority of the Ghanaian population. Resetting Ghana means total re-engagement, that is reorienting their minds, engaging them, and building for all of us the Ghana that we'll be proud of. Violence has no place in the Ghana I want. And so, as minister, I am going to work effectively with the relevant agencies, the young people out there, by finding for them sustainable jobs. If we don't address the challenge of unemployment, we'll always have these issues of violence always staring at us in the face. If I have a job in the morning, and you call me to come anywhere, and I'm going to work, there is no way I'll follow you there. And so we will tackle aggressively the issue of unemployment. And by doing so, we'll render skills training. We'll try and put everybody who is willing and able to work, so that we'll be able to change the narrative, and then these issues of post-election violence do not continue with us in our space. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Order. Chairman, I understand the nominee is the current National Youth Organizer of the NDC. And then...
You know or you understand?
Chairman, I'm not NDC. I cannot speak to that fact. What about if he resigned before coming in here? It's a possibility. He could resign before coming for his...
How do you understand something you don't know?
So, Chairman, the nominee, are you still the National Youth Organizer of the NDC?
Mr. Chairman, I currently remain the National Youth Organizer of the NDC. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, Chairman, now that it has been established, let me now ask my question. As National Youth Organizer of the NDC, what is your message to the youth out there on post-election violence?
This question has been asked and answered, but I will give him the opportunity to repeat the answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Violence has no space in national development, and so nobody should subscribe to it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, let me just, my last question. You are the National Youth Organizer of the NDC, and you have been nominated to head the Ministry for Youth Development. It means that youth development, not NDC youth, but youth of the country. When will you resign your position as a National Youth Organizer so that people will see you as a minister of state, not a minister that for NDC youth? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When the time comes, I will resign. Thank you.
Thank you. We now proceed to Honorable Patrick Boma. Obama. I will now give the floor to Minority Leader.
So that you come back. He's not ready. Yeah, so no problem.
Honorable Leader, you have the floor.
Mr. Nominee, you've given your name as George Opari Ado, Esquire.
Yes, please, Mr. Chairman.
Have you, since birth, had this name and no other name?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a local name, but it's not on any of my certificates, so when I write it, I don't write it. My mother has a pet name she calls me.
Is this a name you have on your birth certificate?
Yes, please. On my birth certificate, it reads George Opari Ado.
Please, you've given your residential address as Maple Avenue, Agbogba, Accra, on page 1 of your CV.
That's correct, Mr.
Respectfully, tell this committee how long you've lived at this residential address.
If I am not mistaken, ever since the NDC lost in 2016, because for 8 years I was domiciled in Ekropon when I was MCE. So when I lost, I moved to that address. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, respectfully, do I take it that this was a property you acquired yourself, or you rented it immediately you moved out of government bungalow into it?
Mr. Chairman, it is my own property. Thank you.
Honorable Nominee, are you able to tell us whether you have title to this your property?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not at the moment. I'm still working on the title because the area was demarcated, and I'm sure there was a ruling not too long ago on lands in those areas. And so we are still in the issues of resolving the issues of title. Thank you.
Are you aware of the laws of Ghana on property tax?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm aware of that.
Have you paid any tax to the state since... Wait, I'm not done. Have you paid any tax to the state since you bought this property?
Mr. Chairman, I did not buy the property. And every year I pay my property rate. The district assembly sends a rate to me and then I pay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Let me go to the educational background column of your CV, still on page 1. Non-LLB holders who desire to pursue the law program at the Ghana School of Law for some time back had to study CV. You state that you are a holder of LLB from GIMPA, and at the same time you state that you pursued qualifying certificate of law from Ghana School of Law. If it pleases you, would you want Mr. Chairman's leave to amend this record?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. It's a mistake, and I'm sure it was an oversight. So I'll need Mr. Chairman's to amend his leave to amend the CV. Thank you.
So may you take Mr. Chairman's leave to amend your CV and specifically what you would want to amend, and do so aloud.
So if it pleases the chair.
Honorable nominee, I realize it's a typo. The P, the professional certificate, is missing.
Certainly.
So you can amend and add it.
Honorable nominee, if you be pleased, may you take Chairman's leave to amend the records.
I've already granted leave that you can amend.
Bit confused, if you can help me out.
Well, I noticed that what he's complaining about, QCL, can mean something else. Because the QCL, those who didn't go through law school have the opportunity to do that preliminary law course to get to the professional level. But anybody, those who didn't do LLB from the university, but you have done the LLB, you entered the law school, and you graduated as a professional lawyer. So it should be qualifying professional certificate in law. So I realized that the word professional is missing. So you have the opportunity to put the word professional there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm doing.
So what are you amending? No, he's still not done it. Colleagues, my dear guests, we are here for a serious business. Please bear with us. And Chairman, I think
Mr. Chairman, I have amended the professional certificate of law. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll give the floor to Roxanne.
Chairman, thank you very much. Chairman, I'm surprised about rankings approach. It is the practice of committees of parliament that where clerical errors such as this are detected and there are corrections, the corrections are deemed effected consequentially pursuant to the leave sought from the chairman. So it is not the case that the nominee must take pen, make the corrections around the table. The correction is deemed done consequentially pursuant to the leave sought. So the document before each member on this committee is deemed corrected. The members will take pen and do the insertion where appropriate. I think that the ranking member, who is a senior member of this house, knows this. So we plead with him. He should make progress on this matter. Chairman, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we make progress?
Honorable Chairman, thank you. Honorable nominee, page 4 of your CV. You have the hobbies: reading, playing football, surfing the internet. Let's go to the second one, playing football. How often or how regular do you play football?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Averagely, once every 2 or 3 weeks, I find myself on the field to play. And I play with a few of the honorable members of this house sometimes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Nominee, on the same page, you have references. 2 names are there. I shall first deal with the name Samuel Ofosu Ampofo. I am aware that he earned a PhD from GIMPA. Would you be fair to him to amend your records, which record currently stands at Mr. to Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, PhD? Would you? With the leave of Mr. Chairman.
With the leave of Mr. Chairman, I will make those amendments. Thank you.
All members, amendment accordingly carried out.
Now, to take somebody as your referee, to me, means a lot. Share with us how Dr. Ofosu Ampofo has inspired your career.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you indulge me, Honorable Samuel Ofosu Ampofo was instrumental in me coming into mainstream politics. In 2008, he was one of those who identified me and pushed me to become a parliamentary candidate for the NDC in Dakri constituency. In 2009, when His Excellency President John Evans Samuels of blessed memory nominated me to become District Chief Executive then, he was my regional minister. And then within that same period, he became the local government minister. When I became national youth organizer in my first term in 2018, he was my national chairman. And so I have had him in all my space through my political life. And that is how come, for my political experiences, I have learned and garnered a lot from Dr. Samuel Ofosu Ampofo. Thank you.
Who is Richard Addo?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Richard Otto is my big brother and a business mogul in this country. I worked under him in the private sector when I was working within the private space.
The company IGIT Group of Companies, are you a director of that company?
Mr. Chairman, I used to be a director until I joined politics and he cut me out. Thank you.
Since you're a lawyer and some law students would want to know some fact, did you resign as a director?
Yes, I did resign, Mr. Chairman.
Do you have some shares in the company?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have shares in some of my family's businesses.
Honorable nominee, I am only...
They are asking the question with specific reference to a company. So your answer should relate to that specific company.
Mr. Chairman, the name of the company is IGIT Group of Companies. So it is not just one company in question. It's the IGIT Group of Companies. That is why I said I have shares in some of the companies.
All right, so let's do a little exercise there then, since you are. Now, the IGIT Group of Companies, how many subsidiaries are there?
Mr. Chairman, I may not be able to volunteer that information rightly. I don't have all. I know there are a few companies in there, but I don't know the numbers because the company keeps growing. And because I'm not active in there, I may not be able to answer all the specific questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The IGIT Group of Companies, is it a holding company?
Mr. Chairman, like I said, it is not. It was structured. It was one company initially, and then we had other subsidiaries under it. But I left the company a very long time ago. In 2009, when I became municipal chief executive, I ceased working with the organization. But it sits in the family, so occasionally I find out what is happening. And I know I have shares, because my shares, I know how shares work. I have not relinquished of my shares and I've not taken them back. But I know that he's added on a few other companies. But as to what the structure is, I have not found myself asking those questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable nominee, I don't want us to enter the company law classroom, but your juniors at the bar listening, your seniors and your contemporaries will expect certain answers, because these are very specific matters of law which you and I cannot do anything about it. Is it your case that a group, the name you've provided, IGIT Group of Companies, is not a holding company? Is that your case?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's not a holding company.
I didn't hear that.
It is not a holding company, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable nominee.
Chairman, Mr. Ado, once you've told the committee, we are all students of the law, that IGIT Group of Companies has some subsidiaries, and it's trite, that is the holding company, with some subsidiaries they're under, with a different structure, directors, shareholders, and different shareholding structure. So don't worry, let's make progress on that. That's it. Yeah.
So that is why, I urge you to please pay attention, so that if we might have to do some corrections, or chairman would always grant you the leave to amend. I understand. We give out things to our secretaries to type for us, and sometimes they make mistakes. So I will move away from there. However, I need you to confirm whether the resignation that you tendered was a resignation to the Registrar General, where the Registrar of Companies, who is a custodian of all these the communications, whether you sent it to the Secretary to process it at the Registrar of Companies.
Mr. Chairman, in 2009, when I resigned, I handed over my resignation, the letter to the then Chief Executive Officer of the company. Thank you.
Now, Honorable Nominee, you have indicated membership of bodies and associations. Are you a Freemason?
Amity.
In all difficulties and dangers, in whom do you place your trust?
The Grand Architect of the universe.
To what extent do you assure the Ghanaian youth that this new portfolio given you will be to their benefit?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I started by saying that the day His Excellency nominated me, I put out a statement urging every Ghanaian youth to believe in the kind of leadership I bring on board. I am not going to be discriminatory. I'm here to serve the Ghanaian youth, and no other person. Thank you.
The way he's narrating.
The CV that you provided you indicated religion, Christian, into brackets, Presbyterian. Tell this committee how active you are in the Presbyterian Church.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not too active, but I'm a Presbyterian, baptized and confirmed a Presbyterian. Thank you.
That you go to church doesn't mean you are active.
Are you an active? You go to church?
No, me, I'm a pagan.
Mr. President,
somebody's a Freemason, so I'm also a pagan.
Has recently told us that perhaps instead of enacting on the family value system, we should rather introduce the Ghanaian value system in our school curriculum. Do you fully support this view by Mr. President?
Mr. Chairman, I'm in full support of what the President has said. Thank you.
So just by way of recap, instead of Parliament enacting a law against this LGBT++, you also share in the view that we don't need a law, but rather from our basic schools, our children must be taught and taught actively.
Honourable members, may I know where the view that we shouldn't pass the law is coming from?
Okay, very well. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, very respectfully, thank you for the question. I didn't want to bore us. Quite recently, when His Excellency had the honor of
Please go ahead.
When the President had the honor of receiving the Catholic clergy, the issue of the LGBT law came to the fore. Mr. President, in responding to the clergy, stated as follows, that one, he is aware that Parliament passed the law. However, since it got some potholes along the way, we already know the Supreme Court issue that came up. It didn't eventually get to the presidency for assent. That to him, a new discussion would have to come up, and possibly the Attorney General owning the bill, that is, it being owned by the states. Then he went further to say that perhaps if the discussion is escalated and we pay attention to introducing our value system in our schools for our children to know what our values are as Ghanaians, perhaps there may be no need to enact. So that's the background. That's the background. Now, having that background, I just want to know from you whether you...
I recognize Roxanne Dafamoko on point of order.
Chairman, thank you very much. Chairman, gratuitously, I was one of the people who sponsored that legislation. And I listened to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama carefully when he had that engagement. I think the ranking member and the minority leader is misinterpreting and getting the context wrongly in regurgitating what is supposedly is attributable to the president. I think if he wants to make his point, he can make his point firmly without linking it to what the president supposedly said or not. To that extent, I think that he's misinforming the public. He is suggesting that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama says that there will be no need to pass that legislation, and that cannot be accurate. With all due respect to the ranking member, that cannot be accurate.
Honourable members, from even the narration of the minority leader, he said the president says the Attorney General may have to own that particular bill. What is the meaning of Attorney General owning a bill that is not going to be passed? Definitely, from his own narration, it means that the bill must be passed, introduced in Parliament by his Attorney General. The bill itself is seeking to promote Ghanaian family value. Therefore, the introduction of that bill in our schools is in tandem with the very bill. So how can the statement be to the effect that he doesn't want that bill to be passed? So please, let's make progress. If you can, minority leader can veer from that point and then we proceed.
Chairman, I've learned that patience answers all. Honorable nominee, there is a school of thought that holds a view that we should enact a law as Parliament to promote proper Ghanaian family value and sexual family values and our sexuality. There is also another school of thought that holds a view that instead of an enactment, we should rather introduce our value system in our school curriculum. Being the minister designate for youth development and empowerment, well aware of the Gen Z thinking and how society has become fluid on a number of these issues, thereby diluting our value system. What option would you have out of these two schools of thought?
Option one, Mr. Chairman, thank you. A law being passed to promote our family values in our schools and also make sure that things are done rightly. So we cannot use Gen Zs as an excuse. The older generation has a responsibility of bringing them up right, and that is what we must do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, if God willing, you get the opportunity to serve in cabinet, do you assure the nation that when this matter comes up and these two schools of thoughts make a presentation, you will reaffirm your position on the enactment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
And yes, I've heard you. I appreciate that. The issue of youth unemployment is of concern to all of us. Would you agree to a suggestion to the effect that our youth do not take advantage of social intervention opportunities that are often in?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It cannot entirely be correct that our youth do not take advantage of social interventions introduced by government. As a country, we've not been very intentional and deliberate about issues confronting young people. And so if we are intentional and deliberate, I believe we will achieve the results. We have paid a lot of lip service to issues that affect young people. And over the years, we have seen a lot of duplications, and so we have not built the right synergies to get the right results that we seek. If we put issues that affect young people at the center and focus and make the information available to them, I believe we'll be able to fix the issue of unemployment that confronts us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable nominee, I would give you a practical background to the question I want to ask you. I claim your attention. I've been 8 years assemblyman in my 4th term as a member of parliament. The youth of Efutu, that's where I know. So I will use that as an example to lay the foundation and see how you react to it. Will come, they want to be empowered. I'm doing business. I need money. I want taxi, work and pay. Buy me a car. I need industrial machine. Buy me, do work and pay. I need Prajia. Buy it for me. I'll do work and pay. I need Abuboya, work and pay. I need outboard motor for fisheries, fishing. Buy it for me. I will pay. I need canoe. Buy it for me. I will go fishing and I will pay. My experience from Efutu is as giveaways rather than the funds being plowed back for us, I will put it, the second batch or another batch. I've spoken or engaged a lot of my colleagues in parliament. The story is the same all over. First of all, as MC for 8 years, did you have such an experience to the issue so that we can have a national conversation?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I was MC, we implemented a Let's Step program. Under Let's Step, I still know some of the people who benefited and are still using the equipment they got under Let's Step in the equipment of municipality. The challenge is not that our youth are not hardworking or they are not aspirational.
Honorable, with respect, that is not what I've said. Please, I'm careful with the language. Take it easy. Take it easy. I haven't used the word our youth are not aspirational. I have not used the word our youth are not hardworking. If we want to have a national conversation which will solve your problem and my problem and our problem as a political class, let's do so. And I think around this table, the nation has offered us an opportunity as a political class to confront this matter. If we choose to do partisan politics, well, I will leave the jury out there to judge. And you may not have gotten a golden opportunity. So please, take it easy and deal with the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The approach that some of us have used in resourcing our young people has been wrong. The manner in which we give out some of these items, it becomes giveaways. But if we put them through a program, a regime, and then we mentor them through a certain process, because other organizations are doing it. MasterCard is going through a similar program. Other international organizations are doing similar programs and are elevating poverty and resourcing people and taking them out. So we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to go back to these organizations and find out how they are doing it and why they are getting it right. And then we need to take out the politics. Fortunately for us, because we are politicians, we tend to look at our people first. And so we don't end up giving resources to people who genuinely deserve it. And that is what we must first check. Let's take out the partisan politics, and then let's begin to see the young people of this country as young people, irrespective of which party they belong to. And let's listen to them. Let's put them in some incubators, build them, resource them, and we may get some coming out well. You may not score 100%, but with the right approach, right incentives, you may get a lot of them turning out right and then fixing this problem that confronts all of us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Nominee, I appreciate your answer. That will be a happy one for a good theorist. But you and I know, as National Youth Organizer, Your constituency youth organizers are expectant. Your regional youth organizers are expectant. The many youths who during the campaign took pictures with you are going to show you pictures that they were there with you. I agree with you that the approach by politicians could be a factor. But can we really detach from this? And can you assure the nation, including your own party members, that all social intervention opportunities aimed at empowering them, aimed at empowering the Ghanaian youth, will not be based on party lines, and that it will not be freebies? They would have to pay back to allow for another batch to benefit.
Mr. Chairman, I give assurances of the highest order. Thank you.
Now, I will lay a foundation on this same youth empowerment thing. You know, because I've been part of the District Assembly concept for a long time, I know this as a fact. President Rawlings, blessed memory, introduced this poverty alleviation intervention program. Many people got loans. They didn't pay. It became a cost to the state. Kufuor introduced Maslock. Many people got the funds. They didn't pay. It became a cost to the state. Professor Mills of blessed memory continued the Maslock and even further introduced some empowerment programs to support the youth. People did not pay. It became a cost to the state. President Mahama, in his first term, continued. I remember State of the Nation address, some youth intervention programs. In 2017, when Akufo-Addo came into office, the records at Maslock was to the fact that a lot of people took the funds, did not do what they did. In MPP, 8 years, same thing happened. They didn't pay. You've come in. Once again, share with us, with timelines, when you intend to introduce a system to change the psyche of our youth, to the effect that when it comes from a political source, please pay. Because if you don't pay, it becomes a cost to the state, and there will be nothing more left for your brother or your sister who is yet to get it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wish I could share with you timelines, but it is not feasible at this stage. I know what the problem is. We all know what the problem is. But we need to sit down with the state actors and have a thorough understanding of what the problem is. When that is done, I'll be able to tell this committee at a later date how long it's going to take us to fix the problem you are referring to. Thank you.
Honorable colleague, do you have your own youth agenda as you go into the ministry?
My vision sits with that of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama.
What is that vision? Share with us your vision on youth development and empowerment.
It's to build a merit-based society, a society where opportunities avail themselves to every young person, where we will empower them for them to take up the challenges of national development that awaits all of us. Thank you.
My worthy brother, I know you would have challenges. It's not easy, but with God on your side, I know it shall be well. It's not easy. I wish you well, and I pray that you are able to implement this great vision of yours. Thank you so much indeed for indulging me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Order. I will now turn to my right and take a question from Honorable Ayaraga.
Nominee, congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. You were asked a lot of questions about the fact that the other sectors that we have, say education, healthcare, housing, agriculture, they all equally pertain to the welfare of the youth. Their training, education, skills development, their economic conditions, health, and etc. And I see that you were pressed to define how you will coordinate activities across sectors. My question is, as the Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment, you will get to sit in cabinet. Even if you are not a cabinet minister, you get to sit in cabinet, where all these policies in these different sectors will be developed, approved. As Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment, do you see an opportunity to advocate across sectors to ensure that every ministry sector policies, programs, whatever it is that they are developing, even financing, that they make adequate provision for the youth of this country? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe rightly so. That should be the norm because of the challenges that we are all confronted with, the issue of youth unemployment and the danger that awaits all of us if we don't deal with it. President Mama, recognizing this, has set up this ministry so that we'll be able to add our voices and coordinate the activities of all the various ministries to help solve this challenge that confronts us. So rightly so, that will be done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You went around the country, you campaigned very hard, you sold the agenda of the NDC to the youth. They bought into it and they voted NDC into office. And for the first time, President John Dramani Mahama, in an unprecedented fashion, has set up a special ministry to focus on the welfare of the youth. How will you grade President John Dramani Mahama in terms of his commitment to the welfare of the youth?
Order. Order.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me use this opportunity to commend President Mahama for what he's done. When we opened the National Youth Secretariat, he made a commitment to the young people of this country that when given the nod to lead again, he was going to set up a ministry solely for youth development and empowerment. That promise he has fulfilled. He also promised that he's going to empower and appoint a lot of young people into his cabinet. I believe the list that has come, we've seen a lot of youthful faces. And so we commend President Mahama. On behalf of the Ghanaian youth, we commend President Mahama for giving us this opportunity, and we assure him we won't let him down. Thank you.
My last question. With the creation of this youth development and empowerment, and you know the word empowerment is itself very powerful, do you see light at the end of the tunnel in terms of the welfare and progress of the youth of this country?
Leadership, they say, is a cause. What follows are the effects of it. President Mahama has shown leadership, and I believe with his 4 years, the Ghanaian youth will set well. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'll give the floor to Honorable John Dumelo. Please, order. Order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, congratulations once again. And I also want to say thank you for all the good work you did in Ayawaso West Wogon. For me to become MP. My question is simple. I don't know if it happens in other constituencies, but when you come to Ayawaso West, you have airport traffic lights, Shashi, Oponglo, and in recent times, the ANC area. You have a lot of street guys there, the young guys, and sometimes they do bother a lot of motorists in traffic. My first question is there any plan for them so that they can stop what they are doing? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of those people you find there are children. And so I'll have to liaise with the Minister for Gender and Children Protection to look for a comprehensive plan and program to enroll these people in. But I assure you that we will do something about it. It's becoming a menace and it must be dealt with. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. My second and last question. You did touch on agric, but as a proud farmer myself, I would want you to just elaborate something on agribusiness, that is adding value to what we the farmers produce. You did talk about farmers and the help you give to farmers. What about those who want to add value? What about those who want to set up their small industries so that they can all add something to the value chain? Thank you.
Thank you very much. In the manifesto of the NDC, we have a program that seeks to support young people, young entrepreneurs who want to venture into agri-business. Apart from that, we are also going to pursue an aggressive program where Ghanaian products can be marketed abroad internationally to the international market. And so we'll be liaising with the Ministry of Trade and all the relevant agencies. And we'll also be helping young people set up cooperatives. And we are going to set up a fund that is going to support young people who want to venture into agriculture. It is all stated in the manifesto. And so once it rolls out, we will help support, because we cannot continue with the post-harvest losses. It must come to an end somehow, some way, and that we intend to achieve. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I do for you.
Day for you too.
Any further question? I will now give the floor to Honorable Zuera Ibrahim.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you and congratulations, my brother, my friend, my in-law.
Thank you.
And I call you Pablo. Please indulge me, Chairman. I just want to say congratulations to you.
Thank you, Hajia.
And wish you well. You and I have worked successfully on 3 projects, and all have been very successful. I trust you. I believe in your capabilities. And I know that you are going to meet the aspirations of the youth of this country. The youth of Salaga South are upbeat. The youth of Ghana are upbeat. And I know you are going to deliver. May Allah be with you. Thank you.
Honourable members, I will recognize Patrick Boama. He promised to be very brief.
Very brief. Very, very brief. Congratulations, youth leader.
Thank you.
I know you are very energetic, and the youth of the country, not the NDC youth, are upbeat to see how you deliver to your new portfolio. But let's do some mathematics. I went through your manifesto. That's the blueprint of your campaign. And realized, I think it's paragraph 5.5, that's where it starts. It's page 156 of 200. Yeah.
Honourable members, I believe strongly our brothers from the other side are in love with our manifesto.
They did a seminar on it.
Chairman, tells you how serious we are, not wanting to let anybody slip through. Under your Ejumaura program, do you have it there, Pablo? Or you've chewed it?
We had the youth manifesto. The Ejumaura project is also in it, and then it found space in the main manifesto. So
that's right.
I'm able to stick to it.
I can tell from that paragraph that you are telling the good people of this country. Your microphone, please. Now you be creating.
I've always said that there are a lot of jobs in the system. Unfortunately, we've not formalized them. Let's take Accra, for instance. There are about 200,000 middle-level income households. And in each of these households, you will find a domestic worker in that house. We pay them an average between 1,000 and 2,000 cedis. Yes, some earn as much as 2,000, yes. The minimum wage is 18 cedis, 50 pesos or so. It comes up to about 820 cedis or so. But when you meet this person who works domestically, he'll tell you he's unemployed. It is because he needs a reset. And so we must reset them to appreciate what they do. And then scale them up and add value to what they do. Because in other jurisdictions, we live in this country and people bring in domestic workers from from the Philippines and employ them. But we can do same. We train over 3,000, 4,000 accountants every year. They come out of school and can't find jobs. Yet a lot of our mothers who own our shops in Makola, Cantamanto, have no basic knowledge of bookkeeping. Deploying these people to even go help them manage their books. And per the records I saw, in one area, one shop, one person lost almost 200 and something thousand worth of goods because all the goods had expired. She was just buying and not checking and taking stock. And so imagine we deploy all these young people and then set them up, give them the right training, and then ask them to go out there and help with basic bookkeeping skills for these organizations out there. A lot of jobs will be created in the ICT space. In the ICT space. That is what is driving the world today. If we put special emphasis on training and embarking on this 1 million coders program, you'll be amazed how many young people who will be able to set up. Because today, creating and opening of a business is not brick and mortar anymore. With your laptop in the comfort of your bedroom, you can work anywhere in this world. Business process outsourcing is happening. Call centers are happening all around the world. Knowledge process outsourcing. People with the technical know-how sitting in Accra on Zooms and then lecturing and impacting knowledge around the world. And so it is how we look at it and how we intend to fix this problem. And I assure you, Honorable Patrick Boama, we will get Ghana working again. Thank you.
So, thanks for the lecture, but my question was not, you intend putting together a formula based on the size of districts and constituencies to share these 10,000 jobs. That's my understanding. But it took me to another level. But I've gone through it. I know you have digital literacy, access, youth and skills development, youth participation in entrepreneurship, and what have you. I also saw that you want to set up establish a youth entrepreneurship micro scheme, institution, with a seed capital of 750 million Ghana cedis. We are under an IMF program. Your Minister of Finance was here, seated where you are, trying to cut than waste. 750 million Ghana cedis is about 46 million US dollars. How can you convince Dr. Kasiela Tuforsin, who is seeking additional financing from the IMF and World Bank, to put in money into this credit scheme, not believing in the repayment of the credit that you intend to give out, which is a very good idea, but you and I know that it's not easy going after people who owe. How can you convince this committee that Dr. Forsen will put in so much into this program? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Where Ghana sits today, if you look at the data and you appreciate the challenge of youth unemployment, 14.8% of our population are unemployed. Out of that 14, 7.3 million Ghanaians are within vulnerable employment, and 1.2 million Ghanaians are within the not in training, not in education, and not in employment. This is a national security threat, and issues of national security should be treated seriously. I believe strongly that when we pitch with the Honorable Minister for Finance and we put forward a good proposal and we decouple this fund from the usual strings of politics attached to it, and what we seek to do with this fund, the vision is clear and there is a clear understanding, I believe strongly that he will buy into it and help us find the necessary funding to fund it. We'll also have to look elsewhere internationally to find funding for this. And so there are issues affecting young people, and because of the digital space we find ourselves in, there is a lot of funding out there. We will take advantage of it, go out there, seek that support, and get funding to come and roll out this program, because it will help change and re-employ our young people. Thank you.
And just a follow-up, I know the Green Army is right behind you. Very up.
All members, please. We are in Parliament. Committee sittings is the same as parliamentary sitting. So what you have just done is out of order. We don't do it in Parliament. So if you do that again, I'll be compelled to cite you for contempt. And we'll send you to a privileges committee.
Chairman, and you'll be the same person to represent them there, since they have right to counsel. So, Mr. Addo, my good friend, my last question. You were very honest in your presentation that you give effect to the National Service Act, which was passed under President Akufo-Addo and the MPP administration. Which aspects of the act will you be giving effect to enable you realize your dreams as a minister for youth empowerment, youth development and empowerment? On that note, I wish you the very best and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I've looked at the acts. I have also looked at the national policy. There are a lot of good programs in there. I met the outgoing Director General, and after the brief, I assured him that I'm not the appointing authority, but whoever goes to sit in that chair as the National Service Director General, I will try and put the two of them in touch, so that all the knowledge he has, because he's very knowledgeable when I engaged him, all the knowledge he has.
Osesibe entry, Doctor.
Yes, Dr. Osesibe entry, very knowledgeable. All the knowledge he has, he can share with whoever comes to sit in that chair. Because I believe that if power changes hands, whatever is good must be carried upon. And I've seen a lot of good things in the act, and I assure this committee that we will work with it and give it the necessary effect that it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll give the floor to Honorable Rickett Hagan.
Let's just finish. You are tired. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My good brother, Honorable George Upayadu, a.k.a. Pablo. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have no doubt in my mind. First of all, it's going to be a brief question because we've been here for a while and I think almost all the questions have been exhausted. And but rightly so, because of the position you are going to occupy. Youth unemployment is the biggest economic problem this country is facing, apart from our debt. So we want to make sure that the gentleman we are sending there, who knows so well about youth, will be able to, do the job. My specific question is that when, not if, you get the nod to become the minister responsible for the youth and youth development and empowerment, very powerful post. What will be your grand plan, very briefly, about women development? You have Women's Bank coming up, but that is just a tool in the grand scheme of women's development. Just a very simple, grand plan to that you'll be able to, bring on board. Now, I just want to congratulate you. As I said, I have no doubt that you do a good job. The only thing I want to say to you is that up Santa Claus, stand up to honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Forgive us, Mr. Chairman.
Noisy boys.
Mr. Chairman, it's unfortunate. If you want the largest collection of gentlemen, you find them in Addis Ababa College. Thank you. If you look at the data, women unemployment is high. It stands at about 60.2 or so %. And so we need to look at it from a different perspective entirely. I will need to sit down with the minister responsible for gender and social protection and then come out with a workable plan, one that is feasible. We have a lot of programs we'll be running under the manifesto, the National Apprenticeship Program, the 1 million coders program, but we must do something deliberate for women and we must be very intentional about it. And I want to assure this committee that given the nod, we will do that to the best of our abilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members, for your endurance. I will now proceed to recognize the following people. Aina Garba, a spouse of the nominee. Oheniba SB Ado, nominee's father. Faustina Labi, the nominee's mother. Richard Yao Ado, brother. Reverend Francis Entry, Reverend Obuafo, Ose Adeayo, Kwesi Ekufo, Obuafo, okay, thank you. Ose Adeayo, Kwesi Ekufo, Ekwapim Hini, Nana Ansasa Sraku III, Mamfihini and Chidomhini of Akuapim State. Nana Otubo Jankwesi, Eburihini and Adontihini of Akuapim State. Osudumja, Osuodumja, Otutu Ababio, Edukromhini and Mamfihini of Akuapim State. Osajifo Ampim Anye Wenchihini, Ochechekro Kwamisachi Ababio, Abotachi Hini and Akuapim Asosohini. Forgive me if I don't pronounce the word correctly. Emmanuel Okaiminta, National Youth Committee Chairman. Order. Harry Entry Kakari, Special Aid. Alhaji Farian Al-Hassan, renowned banker. Reverend Philip Makoni Doji, head pastor, Charisma House Chapel, Ghana. Abubakar Mutu Rahman, Esquire, lawyer. Osahini Bofo Ansan III, Krontihini Ekwapim. Awo Korama Nifahima Edukrom. Last on the list is Adisadel Old Boys Association. Santa 1999. Honourable members, I use the opportunity to thank the nominee for attending upon the committee, answering questions vociferously as a lawyer. You are hereby discharged, and surely you hear from the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Should I cite you for contempt? Should I cite you for contempt? Please. We are still in Parliament. Parliament is in session. So tomorrow night.
10 o'clock. Tomorrow 10.
No, tomorrow let's start at 9. My brother, I beg you, I've